Today, I am joined by David of a Brothers Revival. So, David, thank you first of all for being here. I really appreciate your time.
No, thanks, man. Thanks for making the time.
Absolutely. So, I want to start off at the beginning here. How did a Brothers Revival come to be?
How did the Brothers? Well, Brothers Revival came to be immediately after a band I had called the Allman Goldflies Band. And for those who are just tuning in, I was a bass player with the Allman Brothers for several years, many years, back in the late 70s and early 80s. And so I ran into a gentleman named Gary Allman, of all people. Imagine that. And we put together a band and we released an album. And that ran for a few years, like in 2017, 2018, 2019. And then that band just sort of faded away. Manager problems, all kinds of typical music business stories, not that interesting to your listeners. And I got a phone call. And I got a phone call from an agent up in New Jersey. He said, "Hey, you want to put together a band with Johnny Neal?" And Johnny Neal was a keyboard player like in the 1980s and 90s with the Allman Brothers. I said, "Yeah, man, that sounds great." So I guess that band, the Allman Goldflies band, earned enough recognition that the guy knew to call me, because I hadn't been doing Allman Brothers related material. So we put it together. It didn't work out with the keyboard player, with Johnny, but it did work out with a guy named Mike Koch. And Mike joined the band about 2020. And Mike was a keyboard player with Dickie Betts. And so Mike's been with us from the beginning. And we just kind of rolled with it. We do Allman Brothers material. We do more than that. But that's how the band started. It basically was a concept from an agent, actually. And we put it together, and it's kind of grown into a whole thing now.
That is very cool. So with you being part of the Allman Brothers, what's it like now carrying the music forward to a brand new generation?
Hey, man, it's going to sound kind of a cliche, but it's kind of an honor. As I tell people, friends, it's that you cannot unplay in the Allman Brothers Band. Once you play in that band, you have played in that band. You can't take it back, And it's turned out to be a very interesting legacy to carry forward. One, it's robust. It's a robust legacy. And I'm lucky that I got to play in that band because it wasn't just a pop hits kind of culture band. It was an actual set of musicians that really moved music forward at the time. There's no question that their sound was completely original in their moment. And they were really into improvisation, pushing the boundaries, all that. Everything sounds cliche, but it's just really true. So I'm very fortunate that it happens to be that band that I'm now playing that music. And it's funny now, I feel like I'm much older now, obviously. And it's like I really see more in the music. I'm much, much deeper into the very nature of the fact that it was one of the very first, if not the first, jam band. The way they mix blues, country, jazz, rock, everything together. I'm much more aware of that now because I play in many different groups and different styles now. Classical music, jazz groups this week, rock band up at the Egyptian Theater on May 9th. And I'm just very fortunate to be able to carry this legacy on and expand on it. We have some of our own material. Every now and then at the right gig, we'll drop it into the set. Mostly we stick with the Allman Brothers material, and we have really unique arrangements, ways of doing it. So it's not just the same thing you heard, but it's definitely derived from that flavor.
Absolutely. So what do you think makes the Allman Brothers so timeless and just so powerful even today?
Man, there's a lot of things, but gosh, that's a hard question to just narrow down to a quick little radio blurb. The reason the Allman Brothers music, I think, has survived is in large part, first, the phenomena that they were, just playing in, Watkins Glen and crazy gigs, right? And so thousands, in fact, millions of people physically saw the band and they loved it. The other thing I think that has really made the difference is the writing, the music, the actual music, the writing of the band, like timeless hits like Midnight Rider, Dickie's Rambling Man, and the way they had the instrumentals. And most people aren't really into instrumental music. That's not a thing, People like the lyrics and, it's got a good beat I can dance to kind of mentality, which is nothing wrong with that. But the instrumentals that the band did were just epic and beautiful and well written. And I think it comes down to that was actually really good music.
Absolutely. So I know there's a lot of people who grew up on this music. Do you see that connection when you're playing these songs live?
In terms of what, like in terms of the audience that comes to see us?
Yeah, like can you look out there and you could just feel that connection with the people that grew up with the Allman Brothers?
Oh, well, yeah, it's kind of amazing too. During the show, there's places where you can make them, like gasp with certain things, songs that you can introduce or segues into things that are like, whoa, like it just gets some kind of dopamine burst in their head or something. I don't know what they have. It's kind of fun. And the audience is generally older, but there are young people that really, have learned from their parents about the music of the Allman Brothers. What's really cool though, and during the show is one thing. After the show, I always go out and try to talk to as many people as I can. It's kind of tricky too sometimes. Your voice is shot, you're tired, you've been doing this all day. But we had a woman in Bonita Springs come up to me and say, I saw the Live at the Fillmore gig, and you guys sounded fantastic. Like it was just the right thing. And so these stories and anecdotal things that many, many people have shared with me are really kind of like the payoff, or the prize in the Cracker Jack box, like, whoa, we do all this stuff. And then these people tell you these really interesting and very personal stories of music to them. So I do think that we are doing something right in terms of getting that level of response from the different people that come to the shows.
For someone who's never seen a Brothers revival before, what can they expect walking into the show?
Well, if you've never seen the band, you could just live your life right now and just continue doing that. You'd be no worse off for it, but you might be better off for it to come and see the band. And basically, you're going to see a show that's a very authentic representation of what the Allman Brothers did on stage. But it won't be like the records you heard exactly, because that's not even how the band used to play. Dickie basically said, and there's a recording of this I just heard a few months ago. It's live on what is it? WLIR Radio was a show I did with Dickie in the Great Southern Band before I was in the Allman Brothers. And Dickie gets on the mic and he says, hey folks, we're going to make this stuff up right now. And we just improvised through a whole section of a song called High Falls. So you never knew what was going to come up, even though it was always based on what we knew to do. And so I think people are going to come in, they're going to see a unique show. That's the only time they'll see the band like that will be the night they come and see it. If they come the next night, it'll be different. The band has now gotten good enough where we can improvise arrangements, segues, where we break down and just start an entirely different motif or a different section. The band has gotten very tight and it's very free. It's a freeing sense of it. And everybody's a fantastic musician. So I guess they're going to see a really good band that plays really cool songs real well.
That is so cool. I love the fact that you guys improvise. I feel like that brings back like Grateful Dead vibes to me.
Well, our guitar player, Eric Cohen, one of our guitar players, plays in Touch of Grey in New Jersey. Complete deadhead, is totally into it. And I joke sometimes when I introduce Eric, I say, hey, he's come from the dark side. He came from a Grateful Dead band, but that's just a joke. It's not the dark side. It's just fun to mess with. It's fun to mess with Eric.
Of course.
Exactly.
All right. So with you playing iconic songs like Ramblin' Man, do you feel like there's one particular one that just hits differently when you play it live versus in rehearsal?
Well, there's one that comes to mind immediately. There's probably many different things I could say, but the one that comes to mind is down in Tampa. We had a gentleman named Keith England came and sit in with us. Keith toured with the Allman Brothers, and he was a friend of mine from Sarasota. He toured with the Allman Brothers on the Enlightened Rogues tours that I was on back in the early 80s. And Keith came down and sang with us. And I wanted to add Will the Circle Be Unbroken to the set, which is kind of a timeless Allman Brothers theme or a meme of, that was just, they always pulled that out. There's some beautiful videos from the Capitol Theater with Bonnie Bramlett singing that. And it's been throughout the history, Will the Circle Be Unbroken? And Keith came on stage and we had rehearsed it, but when he came on stage, he came up to me and said, hey, you're going to love this, man, and whispered in my ear. And went up and did an improvised soliloquy, is that the right word? Where you basically talk about the fall, and it was touching, man. We were almost in tears because it was so meaningful. He said, I want to give a shout out to all the fallen brothers, Brother Dwayne, Brother Woody, Brother Butch. And by the end of that whole thing, we were almost ready to just cry. And then we played Will the Circle Be Unbroken? And that, my friend, was completely different than the rehearsal. And the audience was just like stunned. They're like, this is amazing. It was an amazing moment. And Keith's going to be with us at the GABA Fest this year on September 26th down in Macon. And we're headlining the GABA Fest, which is Georgia Allman Brothers Band Association. We're the headliner, and Keith's going to come out, and we're going to, now we know to do that. That'll be the perfect place to have that come up again. So that was one example, of the improvised nature of the set. And that's one song that was totally different on stage than the way we rehearsed it. completely.
That is such a cool story. I love that so much.
But
So
we stand on the shoulders, man. We stand on the shoulders of those that came before us. And
absolutely.
we all do in civilization. That's true in civilization, but particularly in the Allman Brothers Band, what I'm experiencing is that these people came before us. Like when I played with Butch, Dickie, J-Mo, and Greg, um, I could tell they had shared an experience that I had not had, and that experience clearly was playing with Dwayne Allman and Barry Oakley, and they had this band, this thing that was just special. And then I got to stand next to the guys who had that special moment, and they tried their best to educate me, more or less successful, but we all did our best. And so, you really have to just realize how you got here. And we do parts of our show where it is an homage to Dwayne Allman, an homage to Butch Trucks, homage to Dickie. It's just we do all that in our show because I think I really understand where we came from. We didn't make this up, but I'm allowed to push it forward.
Absolutely. So kind of getting a little bit more into the people that you're working with. You obviously are working with some really serious talent here. What do you feel like is the special thing that each one of them brings to the band?
It's interesting. Each one brings something different, but I've got a bunch of young guys right now, beautiful young men, in the sense of just really musical and well educated and really committed to their craft. Dan Goldberg on drums, who is more like a savant on drums, the best way to describe him. Um, and then we have Jack Judge on the other drum kit. We have two drummers, and Jack Judge, and they met at the School for the Arts in Philadelphia, and they were in competition with each other. They wanted to be in the top jazz band or whatever it was, whatever happens in schools where you compete. I never really had that experience. I'm not into the competition thing in music. I think we should just all get along and play together. But those two guys went to the school there, and they were in competition. They came together, and they're unbelievable dual drum players. That's incredible. They're also smart. They can read music. They can read a chart. I wrote a nice timpani solo, which is what Butch Trucks taught me how to do a timpani and bass solo. I gave them a rough outline, and they ran with it, made a beautiful piece of music out of it. We have Luke Matisic, who is a very young guitar player. I think he's 21, maybe 22 now. And just a player beyond his years, man. He plays classical stuff with me. He plays jazz really well, and he just rocks the Allman Brothers material. So those three guys are very young. Eric is in his 30s and is Eric Cohen is an accomplished musician in his own right. He was recently in an Ed Sheehan's, how you say that? Ed Sheehan video playing pedal steel. I mean, he's just a talent. And then on the last but not least is Mike Koch. And Mike was with Dickie Betts of Great Southern for probably 15 years. And he was the voice of Dickie's band. And yeah, consummate professional, just the real deal, both vocally and keyboard wise, just absolute talent there. So I feel very confident and very good about this particular line. It's one of the best ones we've ever had.
Okay, so then what do you bring to the band?
I don't know, man. I bring the equipment because I drive all over the country because I dig going around the country. And I bring the equipment in a van, and I just play a little bit of bass, and just let the show do its own thing. I'm also the arranger, and pretty much everything else, loading the van, unloading the van. But I do all the arrangements. And I guess I try to play with the fire that Dickie demanded of me. He demanded that you did not phone in the gig. There's no phoning in. You must play tonight, and if you're not willing to play tonight, you are out of a gig. So every night you had to play like it was your last gig. It might have been. But you had to just really be focused and intense and flexible and even have the ability to get input. So I try to show that to my guys. They've responded fantastically. Of course, Mike Koch, now working with Dickie, we joke that he and I survived, we didn't graduate. We survived the Dickie Betts School of Rock and Roll, and so Mike is my touchstone. When it's feeling a little off, Mike will go, I don't know if that's exactly right, Dave. And I said, oh, okay, thanks, Mike, because he knows what it should feel like. He knows what it should sound like. And between the two of us, we really try to keep it as authentic as possible while pushing it forward, not just saying it again, but in the moment. Every show we do is in the moment, every bit of it, all of it.
I love that. I love the dynamic. That just sounds like a lot of fun getting to play with these guys.
Yeah, it is, man. I look forward to it every time. I'm going to be 70 this year. They still let me do it, so I'm in.
Wow. That is awesome. Good for you.
Mhm.
So, how important is that chemistry on stage? Obviously, we've talked about the improvisation, kind of being able to read each other's minds. I mean, how important is that chemistry?
Yeah, well, chemistry is really important, but it's also the skill set that people bring, as well as the amount of preparation that they've done. And then beyond that, understanding the stylistic and the nuances, the idiomatic stuff of the actual music. I think the guys I have now have done all, they bring that to the table and they've done that work. But now they also know me and I have different ways of directing. Like for instance, this means break down whatever we're doing slowly and make complete chaos until we find a cool jam. And that's so we have certain hand signals. I have some little signals. Every band has little things. But Dickie used to direct with his guitar. It's like taking his guitar neck and putting it up and bringing it down, and now you're at the next section. So Dickie was a fantastic director. I worked with a wonderful conductor, essentially, and Dickie was great. And so I learned from standing next to him. Yeah, he also directed from his shoulder. Like when his shoulder went a certain way, you knew you were at a certain point in a solo, and you went to the next thing. And so learning how to read Dickie was probably how I got the gig in the Allman Brothers Band. I went to an audition at the Capricorn Picnic. This is a million years ago. And there were some fantastic bass players. I didn't get this gig. It's not going to happen. I mean, incredible stuff. I got the gig, and I really attribute it to being able to read Dickie's body language and understanding what he wanted when he wanted it. And that's part of what I do. I try to communicate to the band what I want at any particular moment. And they have learned to talk to me that way too. They're in the middle of something. Hey, I want to do this. And we now go with them. So that's how that chemistry kind of works. It's not magic. You must open yourself to learning a set of cues that are on top of preparation, understanding the style, know the parts, but we go beyond that. And that's what you're talking about. Chemistry is beyond any of just the songs.
I'm just always impressed because I have zero musical talent. I'll be completely
That never
honest. I
stopped me.
was
That never stopped me, man.
I will be I'll be completely honest with you. I was in school band from fifth grade all the way through high school. Did
Mhm.
never picked up anything musically. I just faked playing so that I could go on like trips to like Disney World and stuff like that. So like literally zero musical talent, my friend.
That's okay. You have my condolences. You were in the band. I always stayed with the orchestras. I played violin, still do.
Smart.
And we didn't have to go march around muddy fields in cold weather. I thought it didn't make any sense to me at all.
I 100% agree with you. All right. So, is there a moment during the show where you feel like things just take off and sometimes they even surprise you?
Yeah, but I can't tell you what those are because when they take off and surprise me is when that happens. Um, but there are some. They are. We try to make those moments somewhat predictable for the audience. We have a beautiful. In part of our homage to Dwayne Allman, we go into the Derek and the Dominoes catalog, honestly, because Dwayne, that was one of Dwayne's high watermarks, I believe. In his short career, his work with Eric Clapton was huge. And then I also saw where Bobby Whitlock passed away. I think it was this year or late last year. Then he's the keyboard player in the Dominoes. And so we added the end of Layla. We were going to add the whole song, but that didn't work quite so well. It didn't feel honest. But doing that little piano thing at the end felt real honest. And the audience is well, now they won't be blindsided. I'm saying it on your radio show, but they don't realize what's coming. But the ones that are really into the brothers know exactly what we're doing. It's reaching out to Dwayne's contribution historically to just music overall and his contribution and originality in the Allman Brothers.
I love the balance that you guys bring, honoring a lot of different stuff. I just think it's super cool what you guys do.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we stand on other shoulders. I'm telling you, we really do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I believe you were the bassist at Black Betty. Do fans still go crazy when you bring that into the set?
They do. It's so interesting. They do, man. Yeah. The team that books the band, all that, they really wondered, man, should you do that? That's not Allman Brothers. I said, just trust me. It's a real song. It's a real deal. I mean, it's probably as big as any hit the brothers had, or maybe more. But for your audience, your kind audience, I was the bass player on Black Betty back when I was 18 years old, and it became a hit regionally in Ohio, and that was it. I got picked up with Dickie Betts in Ohio and left. This is all like back in 1977 or something. And I'm on the road and I started to hear that track playing on the radio. It's like, what's going on? And Bill Bartlett, who used to play in a band called the Lemon Pipers, it's way back in the early 60s, but they had a hit record called Green Tambourine. And Bill had the band that recorded Black Betty. And he got another band together after that split up. And I was out there with Dickie, and he put out an album. And the whole album was recorded by the other musicians except for Black Betty. They used our track. So, and I share that with the audience because the high water mark for that for me was when I heard it in Lost in Space, that show called Lost in Space. Like I used to love that when I was a kid. And then the remake of it, the aliens are chasing them, and there's Black Betty playing. They're in the chariot, and Black Betty's playing. They're going over the alien terrain. I said, this doesn't get any better. It's the coolest thing in the world. Yeah. The other high water mark was I live in Florida, and I was going somewhere, and I stopped at a Subway in Blountstown, Florida, which is exactly in the middle of nowhere. And I walked in and got a sandwich, and I kept hearing Black Betty. It was on a loop. It just kept playing all through my lunch. I said, this is success. This is it. This is it. And eating at a Subway and hearing Black Betty over and over. It was weird. I don't know why they did that. But so yeah, it's a great song. Band does a great job on it. An absolutely beautiful job. Yeah, I mean, plays it like it was the real thing.
I mean, it's all because of the bassist, I think that, the bassist sets the tone, and that's why Black Betty is so awesome.
Black Betty's great. Now, of course, David Fleeman was the drummer, and he was what a character. He was a unique human being. Man, he played. Those drums on that are excellent. And Tom Kurtz, he and I are still in touch. He's the rhythm guitar player. And then Bill Bartlett, who put the arrangement together. Tom taught me so much about bass. He says, man, for your bass amp, if you want like all the power of the world and you want to use like 1% of it, you'll get the best bass sound in the world. Tom taught me so much. And then Bill was like a Charlie Parker of the Telecaster. And that he did the arrangement, did the voice on it. I was at Bill's 60th birthday party, and they did Black Betty. And the band didn't sound the same, but it was his voice, man. It was like, that was that voice. It's amazing. Like, it's just, that's him, So yeah, that was a whole experience, and I'm surprised how that's hung in there. But it's been a huge hit for 50 years at least.
You've just learned so much over your career. Have you just written all of this stuff down, or do you just have it all up in your head?
It's all in my head, man. it's all in my head. I'm still learning stuff. I mean, last weekend I played the last two gigs I played with the orchestras locally here was, I think, a high watermark in that world for me. I got to play the Brandenburg Concerto No. 3 on double bass, and then I also played Mahler 2, which is an hour and a half piece of music. It's the only way to describe it, with one brilliant thing after another for an hour and a half. There's no break. Wow. And it just felt really good that I was able to do that. I've learned quite a bit by doing it, how music, and I've been doing that for years too, about 20 years in the orchestra right now. So
that is very cool.
Just keep learning, man. I'm working with a synthesizer. I turned off my synths to give you a call this morning. I'm working on some bass patches for a jazz gig this week. So just got to keep going, man. That's all you can do.
Very cool. After all these years, what still gives you that rush when you step on stage? Or do you still get that rush when you step on stage?
I perform a lot in different venues. It's not a rush. It's, you're in the moment, like I said before. It's not like a euphoric rush, but it's like I feel like I'm going out there with a skill set that's been developed to do this very well. I've learned over my life. And I work on big stages a lot. I work on small ones. This weekend I'm playing a small little jazz club down here. But I feel like I can walk on there with a lot of confidence because I've inevitably and always have done my homework, number one. And then, so I'm ready, I'm prepared. My grandfather taught me that. My dad said, always be prepared. Don't worry about being famous, just be prepared. That's how people who get recognized get there. They're prepared. They show up at the moment. They can do what needs to be done. And so I feel like my band, when we walk on stage, it's not overconfidence, but I'm very confident we're going to put a very good show out there. It's not going to be perfect. We're human beings. And some of the best things that happen have been some of the funniest moments of my life where something doesn't go how it's planned and everybody fumbles for a second and then you're someplace else. How did we get here? It's just incredible. But those moments are very rare. The band's very, very prepared. So I just feel like kind of like it's what I was made to do at this point. I've done it so much and I've worked at it so hard that, it's kind of what we were made to do.
Do you have a favorite performing story? Be it from the audience, be it from you, be it from the band. Do you have a favorite story?
Um, Not really. A favorite story with the current band, with the Brothers Revival, or the Allman Brothers.
Either way, there's got to be a story that you go, man, you know what? That was like the best, or hey, that was hilarious. I'm so glad I got to be part of that.
I'm trying to think, man. I have to give me a second there. I haven't really thought about it. Well, I mean, with the Allman Brothers Band, there's some things that come to mind, and one that comes to mind is when John Belushi came cartwheeling on stage and did "Hey Bartender" with us at the Capitol Theater. And I saw a video of that a few months ago. It's online and it's in black and white and everything. And that was just so bizarre, just to see this guy, just kind of a heavy set guy, just whipping around doing cartwheels on stage and grab a mic and start singing. But that was John Belushi. He was nuts, but he was brilliant too. Another story from the Allman Brothers Band was when the band got back together. I was playing with Dickie Betts and Great Southern. We had a gig booked in Central Park, New York City, and we started out as a Great Southern band. And then I was playing and I looked around and I said, well, that's not David Toller on drums. That's J-Mo. And I looked around again and said, wait a minute, that's not Donnie Charbonneau on drums. That's Butch Trucks. But I looked at the keyboard player. I said, wait a minute, that's not Mike Workman. That's Greg Allman. I said, so the band just kind of happened around me, just oops, I'm playing in the Allman Brothers today. It was just, and I knew nothing about it. I completely blindsided. So it's like, wow, this is a trip. So that's one thing. And with it was wild. I don't know. The Brothers Revival, I'm sure there's been some crazy stories, but I can't remember what they were. Like I told you the story about Keith coming down to Tampa and doing that. Will the Circle Be Unbroken? That was a completely off the cuff, unexpected, and it was a great moment. Just a great moment. So hopefully that helps.
Oh, absolutely. So with you coming to the Egyptian Theater, what do you love about playing a venue like that? One that is very much steeped in tradition here in DeKalb. What's it like getting to come to a venue like the Egyptian?
Those are cool venues. We've been there once before, and the Egyptian is just one of those cool old classic theaters, and you can't lose sight. You're standing on a stage that probably people from almost every era of the entertainment business have stood on and played. I mean, that place is old. It's been there forever, and I'm sure people from the 30s have been on stage. People from the 40s have been on stage. Benny Goodman's been on that stage. Maybe Herbie Hancock's been on stage. They feel like very legitimate and very cool places to play, and they sound good. They were built really nice to just have good acoustics. So the band sounds good in there, and there's nothing better for a band than sounding good. It's kind of like the whole thing, right? What a concept.
Kind of important.
Kind of important, yeah. So I have a really beautiful picture there where there's a place in the backstage where you can stand and take a picture. And on one side, you see cases and like old dusty things from 1,000 years ago. The other side is the house, where it's just pristine and beautiful and colorful. And I'm standing, and it goes right down the center of the picture. It's like the division between the reality of a stage and a performance, and then what it looks like to the audience. Because, man, the song says it all. There's no business like show business. It's a whole different world, man. It's a cool world too. I really dig it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there is no business like show business.
So what do you hope people feel and are saying as they're leaving your show on May 9th?
Well, for the people who are already fans of the band, we want to authentically, it brings back memories. It's inevitable. And we have to be very authentic to do that. It's more than just playing the song. It's the way you do it. It's the energy. It's the intensity that the band played with. My biggest complaint about other bands that are just typical tribute bands, they played the songs well, but I never sensed the intensity and the willingness to take risks. We will take risks. I promise you. Because if it gets too steady, then Dickie would have fired us all. So we can't have that happen. We have to disrupt ourselves. And that's how that band worked. It was a disruptive band. They disrupted music. They influenced Chick Corea and the Electric Band. Chick came to I heard the story that says Chick came to one of their shows when they were playing Madison Square Garden. He says, "What are you guys doing, man? We're playing a little jazz club to 40 people down the street. You're playing Madison Square Garden, sold out." And they talked. There was Chick Corea's Electric Band. It's like, what? They were disruptive. I think that's important. I think that's important that you don't just walk through it. I'm not there to walk through it. If we ever really are just walking through it, I'm done. We'll do something else. It's got to be essential. It's got to be essential. It's got to mean something to us. And hopefully the audience will get that. But I want them to people to say, hey, that brought back all those memories, or wow, what great music. I've never really listened to music that way before. So that would be what I want people to come up with.
All right, so I am opening this up to you. If somebody is on the fence about coming out to your show on May 9th, what would you tell them? This is your selling time. Go for it.
Well, one, I would urge them to come to the show, just because I know for me, I've been invited to different shows at different times, and I have a wonderful couch. And I enjoy laying on my little couch, as does everybody. It's so easy to say, nah, I think I'll just stay home. And you have when I've not done that and said, sure, I'll go to the show, almost every time you come back and said, I am so glad I went to that show. Because what they're going to come and see with us is people who really are extremely into this. It's not typical. It's not on every street corner. It's not going to the convenience store for, a candy bar or bag of chips. It's like, this is unique. We have put a tremendous amount into this. It's almost like we beamed in from Pluto and playing this music. You're not going to see this. And I recommend for everybody, get off the couch or put that thing off that you're going to do and come see the show. And if not our show, go see some other shows. You will be so glad you did, because those people who are putting those shows on have really sweated and worked and are doing the best they can to give you, they call it entertainment, and you're going to be entertained. You're going to go, wow. And you might come to it and just hate it. And now you're getting down to the essence of what art is. As long as we get a reaction, we win. Well, we'd rather not be hated, but you want to have a reaction. I worked with a composer once who says there's three things. There's the people who write the music, the people who play the music, and then there's the people who listen to the music. And if you don't have those three things, it's incomplete. You need all of that. So the music was written in the Allman Brothers, the original band, most of it, not all. And then we're playing it, have unique insight into it from working with those guys. But we need you to come out and experience it. And only by that can we all know whether this is real or what needs to happen. Our reactions from the audiences have been fantastic. I bet there's somebody out there that doesn't like it. I don't know. I only get the people that hang around at the end. So get off the couch, come on out. It's a good show. Bring the kids. It's a clean show. It's nothing in there you won't want your kids to see. I mean, I'm just kind of odd to take a kid to a concert, but honestly, it would be you would have no qualms with what we're doing. And come on out. We'll have a great time. And afterwards, we'll see you at the merch booth. I'd love to shake your hand and see how you like the show.
Awesome. All right, David. Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been a ton of fun.